Welcome to the December 11th bhyve production user call. We have Alexander, Andrew, Philip, Jan, Hazem, and myself, Michael, so far. And a reminder to the world, there is a neat GSoC project to add VMM FreeBSD bhyve acceleration to QEMU. If that's something you might be able to poke at, take a look. And let's see, based on an experience at the, of all things, OpenZFS Summit, we noticed that we need to do a catch-all update on the Intel Arc GPUs. It's misidentifying a card. And oh, Alexei, we should work on that. And Hazem, let's just say after a few hours of work and an EEPROM downgrade and a whole bunch of little futzing, I provided an Ampere system to Hazem for Sylve development. And you've discovered some interesting things. What did you find?
Okay, so the first thing was it didn't build the bhyve driver like on ARM64, which was kind of weird. And that's when I realized the ports make file is kind of broken because it checks for bhyve load, and if it's not there, it kind of does not build the driver for bhyve on ARM64. So that was the first thing. So I kind of worked around that. I took the latest commit from their GitHub and I tried building that. And that's when I discovered like they're trying to use sysctls that don't exist on ARM64, um, which works on x86. So their tests might be passing, but it just doesn't work because I tried searching for those sysctls on like the machine that I got. So and neither of them exists. I'll just drop the link into
Please.
chat here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is the
Cool.
one.
Let's take a look.
So I tried, kind
And
of
that was
working
libvirt
around that as
driver?
well.
That's what you were trying to
Sorry.
build?
Yeah, that is the
Okay,
it's
cool.
not the driver exactly, but it's a utility used by libvirt, which does not work on ARM64 and previously.
So a helper, I guess, maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Sys control by name.
So,
Okay.
yep. So once this kind of gets stuck there, like it doesn't move forward. So I kind of, commented that out just to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got stuck in another place, which was the bhyve driver itself not being attached or whatever it's called, which was kind of funny to see because VMM is there, everything is fine, but for some reason it just does nothing. So, and
Nothing
the
under
was
what
logs don't
circumstances?
show anything useful, I guess. So that's also kind of weird, but yeah, maybe it's something to do with how libvirt is running. I've never run libvirt outside of like unit script. I didn't look much into it because I kind of realized that they did not test on this platform at all. So I kind of just left it there. But another interesting thing that I found out was since we have a lot of C dependency in Sylve now, building it is a little bit harder than before. So I had to kind of work out some, sysroot config on my host machine, which was AMD 64, so I can cross compile. That
Mm-hmm.
was fun.
Oh, so
But
cross
yeah,
compilation is working?
yeah, it is definitely working. Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
There are some weird things that I had to work around. For instance, one of the definitions in one of the files that I use, I put that into chat. That is just not there in the sysroot that was available on ports, which was weird to see because I thought that that was kind of stable, but I had to kind of manually define that, and then it just worked. Cross compilation is excellent, and it's all good. Um, and I even got it to like run for like a second, but we checked for libvirt, and then since the driver kind of kills itself, we can't do much because we check the socket to see if there's some response, and it just dies there. So
Would
that's that.
would it be hard to decouple that part of the code so that one could have a working GUI without a dependency on libvirt, just for development testing
I
and maybe
don't think
other
so because
management like Samba management and ZFS management? Those are not. LibVirt
Oh
dependent.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you mean itself? Yeah,
In Sylve,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so
That's definitely possible. Yeah. But the thing
basically
is,
push through every barrier you can and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
keep going.
So that's definitely doable. That's something we have been working on actually, because I had this interesting email a while back from this guy who was having this, I wouldn't say weird, I would say like very cautious setup, very like couldn't install SWTPM and some other LGPL binaries on his
Hmm.
machine. It's something to do with regulation or something like that. So, he was wondering if we could do that. So, and yeah, so yeah, that is definitely something that I'm looking into.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
Um, yeah. So that's pretty much it. But I think Roman, who's working on the libvirt
Yes.
driver for bhyve, he'll probably fix this stuff really quick because last week I had asked him regarding the weight parameter in VNC because I couldn't define that in the XML. I had to monkey patch through the bhyve arguments, and it's there in ports already, which is kind of cool. It's not there on the quarterly bills yet, but by the time we are ready, it will definitely be there. But now I'm kind of worried about like what the ARM situation is like because I don't know where and all it's broken. The first thing that I saw was ports. I'm like, okay, this is an easy fix. And then I kind of saw libvirt had some weird code, so that might be hard to track down, especially if you're not on the machine like this. Because I kind of figured that it would just work for some reason because as long as it builds and they have a lot of test cases, like an insane amount of test cases on
Oh,
libvirt.
okay.
So I figured, the test might have caught it, but looks like it didn't.
Yeah, but you're probably
So
the
yeah,
first person to try ARM64 libvirt on FreeBSD, but who knows?
yeah, probably I
Well, and
kind
that's
of
the
figured.
whole kind of point here is
Yeah,
let's t take that machete through the jungle.
yeah.
Someone has to be first.
Yep.
It's never
You're
fun
just that
either.
unfortunate soul.
And then you find yourself giving talks about it for 10 or more years. Don't get sucked in.
So
It's great.
there's that. And like I'm not sure if I'm fighting like an uphill battle or if I'm kind of in a sunk cost fallacy here. Like I don't know, to be honest, because now I'm thinking like the major reason why I used libvirt was for two things. One of them was I really like XML and JSON. I really really dislike when applications have their own kind of config files, and I don't know why, but a lot of stuff, especially in FreeBSD and some old applications, they kind of make their own kind of config files, and I really really hate dealing with them.
Including the
Jails is
Beehive
an
one.
excellent
That's
example of
quite,
that.
what is a good example?
Jails.
Ah,
Like I really wish they use something like XML or JSON or something like. I know why they can't now anymore because everything would burn. But
hmm.
yeah, and it is very very painful to kind of do it properly. Like we are at a point now where we are kind of comfortable with it, but I still wouldn't do it if I had to do it all over again. Um, and
Oh,
managing text files like that, it's never a good idea. It breaks at some point, and it's no fun. And yeah, another good news is that I've been working on my own
that's cool.
kind of ZFS wrapper in Go because it looks like nobody's interested in building one. So I just put that in chat. Um, I've been kind of, using the JSON output that ZFS gives us now, which is really, really cool. And
Oh,
it's like 20 or
interesting.
30% faster.
Oh, hello. Okay. Yep. That's a
Yeah.
hot topic.
Yep. So, and I had so much fun working on that because, and there are some inconsistencies in the JSON which I'm kind of afraid about because zpool status and zpool zpool list show vdevs in a very weird way. Like both of them are not the same. I don't know why they would do that, but
Hello.
I'm pretty sure now that it's in something stable they will have to maintain that way. So that's that. And a couple of people asked me like why we didn't go with like what's it called? libzfs core
Well, yeah,
or
that's
something
a
like that.
very busy discussion, and I've just posted the video for the discussion from the summit. That's up from like 24 hours ago.
Yep.
So,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
go too much into that because this is, not the ZFS call, but
Oh, but it all overlaps. But yes,
yeah,
wow,
exactly,
I'm
yeah.
so glad you're poking at all the right bears. Or is that a good metaphor? I don't know.
And the thing is, as good as ZFS or ZFS or however you like to call it
Both
is,
work, both work.
yeah. The thing is, like when you start using it from a developer's perspective, especially if you're building wrappers around it, that's when you realize everybody who has been working with this has been writing broken stuff. TrueNAS is a very good example of that, an excellent example of that. Uh, and I think OpenSense is another excellent example of that because
Oh, what's the
everybody
name?
is
What's the
writing
name? Drop it in chat.
OpenSense,
OpenSense?
the firewall
Oh,
distribution,
yeah,
yeah,
okay, yes.
because they have snapshot features as well,
Oh, do
which
they?
people
Okay.
heavily rely on. And it's not good. And I always wonder like building tooling around this is so important because that's how people actually kind of use this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So and in
Well,
the I think I would say the beginning of Sylve, actually till last week, I had this little repo within my repo, which kind of took care of all things ZFS. That's when I kind of realized that people would actually really find this useful, which is why I kind of started working on this. And there were some
Yes.
projects that did use Sego, and I would love to use Sego to interact with this. But the issue is that the only documentation I could see is the OpenZFS repo, and I wouldn't trust them to maintain API compatibility over something that nobody uses.
What's the
Like the
tool?
latest kind of library is, I think, at least 10 years old.
Okay, what's the example you're giving?
I think PyZFS,
Oh, well, yeah, that was like the best available with a handshake agreement on the stable API.
yeah, and
Uh, yeah, let me grab the link to the video because literally this is a discussion I posted yesterday. So just one moment. Let me go get it from another tab. So yeah, and one of you were in the room. Two of you were in the
Wait,
room. Thank you very much.
you still remember the tab position?
and
Uh, Channel programs and libzfs. Here's a follow-up to last year's uh, discussion of this that kicked off a whole bunch of things. So let me drop that in chat first. So there's 50 minutes of viewing pleasure for you from yesterday, one day ago. Uh, so
to
yeah,
be
these are
to be
hot
clear
topics. Go ahead.
to be clear on one thing, the ZFS stuff is not
so that's
exactly off
that.
topic because absolutely everyone in here and probably everyone who uses bhyve is using ZFS. So they relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So and Jan and I have been pushing for like looking at the proper libraries in FreeBSD, which is tied to the release, and they may change over time, but that's I got
I
99 problems and
actually
that ain't
think
one of them. But go ahead.
that makes sense. And I think they are being kind of diplomatic here in the way that they don't want to do it because if they do it, and they kind of have to promise API stability. And I'll tell you why that's kind of important to all these people because the sys root I was talking about earlier, right? Only a single variable broke between like three major versions from 13, 14, and 15. It's
Uh-huh.
insane that it's the only thing that broke. And it's also such an easy fix as well. On Linux, if I have 16.6.15 and I have 6.18, like 15 different things break. And I write a lot of kind of very low level stuff on Linux, and it is not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of understand and respect that, but at the same time, it's so difficult to kind of,
Oh,
make things work with what they are.
And they
I
admit it's
don't, I don't know.
stabilized.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I wouldn't trust
Yes,
that.
it
I would
has.
trust them to not change the ZFS, zpool, and ZDB commands output because then the world would burn. But
Um,
for the core stuff, I'm not sure. But it's there in base, I think. Is it there in base? GFS core?
Jan, you'd
I
know.
think it should be.
so,
Mm.
what's the quick question?
Is
Sorry?
libzfs core in base, or where does it live on FreeBSD?
So the library is part of the contrib OpenZFS directory. It's not, so it lives in the base repository as a contrib directory, just as part of OpenZFS. If you go to user sources, contrib OpenZFS lib,
Oh, right,
you
right. Yeah,
got
makes
the
sense.
source user
Yes, I
sources.
did. Source user source sys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think there should be a libzfs and a libzfs core directory inside of the lib directory. So libzfs underscore core. So it's all part of OpenZFS. And one of the reasons is committing to a long-term stable API is a constraint on OpenZFS, especially since several OpenZFS developers know they dislike the state of the library and want to find time to improve it. And apparently, libzfs is basically a library of code shared between the ZFS command and the zpool and the ZDB command. So yeah, there's that. So nobody is really happy with the library as it stands now. And so while yes, its change rate is low, it's mostly a case of yeah, the commands are fairly unchanging. It's the implementation details which change. So why should the library have to change? But people want to clean up the library and potentially in vastly incompatible ways because the goal, if it's ever massively touched, is to actually make it better at the API level. So intentionally break the API because the old API is part of the problem. That's what I gathered from all the discussions on libzfs
Yeah,
during
the point
the
about them
summit
not being
and so
happy
on.
about is so true because that's one reason why people actually, if they like decide to kind of overhaul this entirely tomorrow, we can't really blame them. At the same time, it would break everything on our end. It will be really funny.
Yes, that's
So,
so.
yeah.
There are two levels here. There's the octal level, how the messages are encoded across the user space kernel space boundary.
Hmm.
Um, if they only change how the library looks, you could use the old library for compatibility reasons with a
Hmm.
new kernel. But if they also clean up the ioctals, then yeah, you have complete incompatibility, except once you reach the command line level where probably nothing will change.
Yep.
Um,
And the thing is, the benefit of doing that is probably like maybe hundreds of milliseconds at most. So
Ah,
per operation.
yeah, for operation, yeah.
So if,
But
yeah,
we don't call that many operations anyway.
if you just run something like ZFS get name zroot or something simple
Hmm.
like that, you will find that on a fairly low power system, it takes about 20-25 milliseconds on a
Hmm.
slow system. On about 10 or so milliseconds to just start the ZFS command and effectively do something close to a knob. That's for every command invocation. And if you have to do something for every snapshot, it gets slow. Something was hanging the door.
So yeah,
Yeah,
watch the
and the
video.
thing that
It's
we
very
do
much the
is,
open discussion. Go ahead.
yeah. The thing that we do, especially on the front end and things like that, is very, very heavy caching. So what we do is, instead of pulling it every second or so, we kind of only run shell commands, especially when we absolutely have to. Um, so like I would say maybe we run zpool status like 10 times in the span of 1 hour of the user using it. If they don't change anything, like if you start a scrub, then maybe we'll poll it to see where it is at the moment. But even that too, we kind of truncate how much we get back from the command, so it doesn't have to return a lot. But still, there is overhead of, it kind of starting up the ZFS or zpool command and then kind of passing and all that stuff. But yeah, you can
Um,
make it invisible to the user, as far as, at least our application is concerned. But I wouldn't trust this with like what, rockets or things like that. But yeah,
so
but I don't
Haizam,
see a good alternative though. Yeah.
do you already use Zero at all in Slavey?
Oh yeah, yeah, heavily.
Okay, and that case you could wrap just the libzfs code. And for
Uh-huh.
reading information, libzfs core may be good enough.
Uh-huh.
The problem is that, for example, with libzfs your core, you can't append to the pool history. So yeah,
No,
but
we
for
don't do that
something
anyway. I'll tell you
like
what we use heavily. Maybe
Hold your
you can
thoughts
tell me
on
like
the
if it
pool
is
history. There
possible.
might be progress this next 24 hours, but go ahead. Go ahead. Little
okay,
birdie told
Yeah.
me.
yeah. Anyway,
Okay, so
okay,
the commands that I kind of need is ZFS get and then ZFS list maybe, and
mhm.
then getting by GUID or status outputs. These are the things that I frequently call. Things like scrub or what do you say, creating file systems or editing file systems or editing volumes. It's rarely called, maybe like once in a week or something like that. So it
So
really doesn't
That's
matter.
kind of user driven, no?
but
Versus
Yeah, yeah,
machine
exactly.
driven. Yeah.
Yeah.
be wary of caching stuff in the UI because this command line tools could change it every time. And the joke is there are two hard things when you're writing software. That's
Yeah, one is
naming
cache
things,
invalidation.
cache
Har,
invalidation, and off by one errors. Um,
har. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. Yep. Well, I hope Roman is responsive on LibVirt. Not that I have any doubts. I'm very excited that you're making progress. I hope you find that the system is quite fast for even cross compilation the other direction. Build
Oh
your
yeah, it
86
definitely is.
on
It's
the
insanely
Ampere.
fast.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
it
Good.
is. It's
Glad you're
insane.
enjoying
I,
that.
I really wish like it kind of takes over the segment because x86 is not good. It's not fun anymore. So I think that'll be fun. And yeah, so coming back to the configuration like things that I mentioned, like uh, I'm just kind of looking for validation here now. Um, the Beehive conf, right? Like, do any of you have experience with that? Like, what does it look like? How does it work?
The
Like,
native configuration format.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is
So
it like kind of like jails or?
it's designed to be an internal hidden behind JSON, hidden behind YAML, hidden behind your configuration syntax of choice. And if you look at the
Mhm,
original review, there were some people saying, "Hey, I want JSON." And John explained, like, no, this is the comprehensive plumbing behind the scenes, if that makes sense. So
mhm,
this might be an opportunity, dare I say, to perform that missing step that was designed to take place but hasn't taken place. And I don't know if anyone else has explored that, but which of what was your format of choice? Or you said XML and JSON is where you want to
Yeah, yeah.
live every day?
Anything structured, I'm happy with.
Anything structured. Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Another,
let's put this out there as a formal acknowledgement of that overdue comment. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, I know on bhyve on our side for
Yes, on Lumos.
configuration, we've even got two different configuration managers that locally store that deal with the configuration in completely different ways. One of them is JSON. The other is kind of a freeform, almost like a Windows ini file format.
Oh,
So uh, whatever they're doing seems to be working.
where did the Windows
Not
any like
exactly a Windows ini
syntax? Yeah,
file.
but syntax like come from? Was that from, I don't know, Joyent or
It's
Accenta or who the heck knows where?
it's it comes. I mean, it's the zone config file format.
Okay,
So it comes from Sundays,
okay.
time immemorial.
Hmm. Okay, cool. So, uh, you, Hazen, you have accurately bumped into the situation of things, but you're also making some of the most progress on pushing them forward, like LibVirt. Everyone
Yeah,
knew it had
I
issues, but until someone actually tries to exercise it in a real world motivated situation, nothing changes. So thank you so much for that.
yeah, but I think maybe like in a lot of places I feel like I'm kind of reinventing the wheel. There's this nice little comic here
Oh,
which I've
oh,
shared in chat.
yeah, I see it. Oh, just one
Like,
sec. And I'm even guessing what it might be, but hold that thought.
yeah.
Is it the number of standards questions?
Yep, yep, yep.
Yep. It's like, yep. Oh, I know. It's like, and that is, well, keep in mind we have this tale of tiers of like
Mhm.
you said, OpenSense did their own thing to manage snapshots, and then TreeNAS has its own thing to do snapshots and replication and everything. Da, 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 da. So I I am very actively, I'm spending a very large amount of my time encouraging discussions like Zelta getting it right. Do watch the talk from the summit about that. Uh, Very much, I probably even used the term Trail of Tears, which is probably not culturally sensitive in the summit about all these different efforts, like you've discovered, like, well, this, and going full circle, I would love at some point, now or later, to through with you the document that I created the moment I heard that someone, and I didn't have a name associated with the project, someone out there was working on a new foundation assisted bhyve manager because I was instantly terrified that we would repeat the sins of our ancestors. So I quickly made a list of like process supervision, which Jan has lectured us on at length. Um, I will drop this in the chat as a friendly reminder because now that you've really worked your way to a near 1.0, maybe it's time to just go down this checklist of what not to do. Um, Simple testing. Does a thing exist before you try to use it? Idempotence. Do. All the networking mess as you've also discovered. Gee, do we use VNet? I mean, do you include SRIOV? I mean, it's like, it's such a complex, intertwined problem space. And I put this comment there. Okay, that's a cute name. Uh, let's see. The configuration. And then, of course, a thank you with a whole bunch of coordination. Hans is working on CPU ID work as we speak. I didn't join today unless you're hiding there somewhere. all the things. Gee, the web interface alone brings up its own challenges. Like, oh, well, people probably just want to throw it on the WAN and forward a port from their little home router. It's like, no, please don't do that. So then, gee, the tip of the iceberg of all the configuration options and say VMware, etc. So uh, there you go. You're not crazy for asking these questions. You're not wrong discovering all these things. And I think Rob made a beautiful comment that had there been like XML or JSON output from libzfs, he wouldn't be a developer of ZFS. It's like he wouldn't have had to solve it in countless ways, and I guess we'd be worse off. But he'd be better off in the short term, but we'd be missing him as an amazing contributing developer. So it's all true, all of it, all of it. Uh, Time to revisit the bhyve. How should I do it? Bhyve requirements. Now that Sylve is approaching. So that's just my observation, having seen, VM bhyve is struggling. Who was the guy? Trent had his easy jail-based bhyve thing. There was Petite Cloud. I haven't heard much from Carios lately. There was
I'm actually curious about that. Like, Carios in their talk,
there was
if I
Nahani
remember
systems.
correctly, they mentioned VM Hive, right? Like they rewrote it or something like that. Like,
I I don't know. Do they have a public repo? Maybe let's search
they don't have a public repo,
GitHub.
but they said they're using, and some of their like web GUI config kind of heavily, um, like kind of showcase that they are using something like that.
Okay. Oh, it
I
sent
wonder
me.
why though. Like, does anybody know?
Uh, Not, I don't have any news. I'll leave it at that. The last thing was uh GitHub just went to my own. Oh, they now have a notion of a homepage. Goodness. Is that Karios? Karios. GitHub has a new GUI. Oh my gosh, great. Thanks, guys. I don't know. And their last thing was at the summit. And Levi, you've got a comment. I don't know if you're in a position to talk right now, but
Yes.
what you got?
It wasn't, didn't somebody mention that the VM Beehive code was merged into FreeBSD's
Oh, correct.
repository?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's now under like FreeBSD/VM Beehive just for some better maintenance, but it's still living a decade ago in almost all respects. Just saying
So
Yeah.
VM Beehive was effectively forked into the FreeBSD GitHub organization.
that.
It's not truly part of base, if that's your question. So it's developed in its own repository.
Runhive, Beehive. Oh, what's the status of
Yeah. Which one?
Clonos,
Yeah.
CloneOS, and there are lessons in all of those. Runhive, Trents,
Oh.
Clono, Clonos, Honey. Um, so Clown
Okay,
OS, be
I have
nice,
this
be
hot
nice.
take regarding like I don't know if this is distributions or like packages they install. The problem with most of these things, even Proxmox that I see, is the fact that I don't understand why they maintain their own kind of distro. Like, okay, for Proxmox, I kind of get it because they have out of tree ZFS, but I don't know why like projects like BVCP or CloneOS like it makes things so much difficult for the end user as far as I'm concerned because then they have to kind of understand okay what FreeBSD is and then they kind of have to understand what their platform is and then how these two mingle. It's not fun.
Well, December is the perfect month of the year to reflect and to IOHive, that was it. To reflect on the good, the bad, and the ugly of all these efforts because, yeah, I mean, you're right. And let's, again, not repeat the sins of our forefathers and foremothers, you name it. CBSD. What's
One
the
thing I
state of
really liked about
CBSD?
vmbeehive was the fact that you can just pkg install it,
Oh
you're good
yeah,
to
no,
go.
that's a very good point.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah.
and it is a curse in all these systems to eventually become a release engineer when you should never ever have to be a release engineer. And you see it at any production user organization of a certain size. And it's like, well, wait, I shouldn't have to do that. But then on we go. Oh boy, I'm just going down the list. Latera has his beehive. Synactive beehive. Just do a beehive search on GitHub and find a few hundred or thousand results. Let's see. So anyway, I 239 results. Do not be discouraged. You've come to the right place. We're here to help with every aspect of it, be it the jails, be it the OpenZFS. We have calls dedicated to all of those for that reason, because they're all related.
But the calls do cross-pollinate.
Absolutely. And there are lessons from Illumos, there are lessons from Propolis. There's code to borrow from Propolis, and they can borrow from us. And hearing that they proudly solved a bug that was fixed in OpenZFS 2.2 is like, well, okay, golf clap. With love, with love. Yeah, so I'm just tearing through all these. There, yep, Nahani. Wait, Nahani's still, oh, there is still a Nahani link. There we go. Let me put that in there. It might just be their Windows config, but they did some good work on the early Windows handling. So yeah. Hazem, don't be discouraged. Oh, Steve Wills had his Docker machine driver. Have you seen the bhyve VM Go agent? Let me put
What is
that
it?
in chat. It
Beehive?
said Go. Here, it's in chat there. You seem to be our resident Go expert. Be here was, oh my gosh, Alan Jude's libucl. Speaking of config files, because in theory the FreeBSD way of doing things is libucl, but then Peter said, hey, no, it's going to change under the hood. It never did, but then John did the native config file for things like that. And on and on. FreeNAS Pi Beehive. Yeah, just do a GitHub search of Beehive and you'll find all sorts of fascinating things. Triton Center. Maybe I should just
Oh,
maybe I should.
I get what this is now. Okay. So I don't know if you guys remember this. We had a long discussion about this, but we kind of settled on the Chemo agent, Chemo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's another like the thing that I just mentioned, like using whatever is available to us as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I kind of figured like since we have like CD-ROM attached stuff, we could just, template things out so the user could just attach this Chemo guest agent ISO to their Windows VM or Linux machine, whatever it is, and then install it there. Or we
Oh,
support Cloud init, so
oops.
people could just do that. And yeah, but
As an oh, sorry.
I put this in the wrong place. My bad. Go ahead, Andrew.
As an observation, the bhyve UCL from Alan hasn't touched that in 11 years, so it may be abandoned.
No, no, it was specifically for the native config format. That was exactly the challenge. But yeah, he put a bunch of effort into that, and it's like, well, wait, what do you mean everything's going to be different? I'm like, yeah, okay. It's all true, all of it, all of it. So yeah, and oh, CBSD, they are alive and well. There was some griping on the Fediverse. Oh, 15 release. Okay. There was griping that maybe Klonos
Last
or
week,
something went away. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, switch, yeah. Oh no, maybe that's the right one, maybe not. Last year, Anyway, I digress. Maybe that's the one, maybe, or that's something completely different. I don't know. Or it was like clonos.org, maybe. And there was an extensive discussion within IX systems if TrueNAS, back in the day, FreeNAS, should be a port. And they continued to be release engineers, understandably so. But yeah, that's one of those eternal questions. And I'm so glad you just went down that road to find them, but you did it in months rather than the decade or two the rest of us usually do it in. Well,
it stems from my inability to kind of trust people.
so you're trusting all
Like,
these libraries to do the things. And
yeah, the
okay.
thing is, if I trust their libraries, I kind of am dependent on them, and that's what I kind of dislike about LibVirt as well at the moment, because no shade to the LibVirt people.
Right.
Library is good. It's fun to use, and I'll just put a link to the DigitalOcean library that I use for LibVirt. That's
Okay.
also excellent, excellent, excellent stuff. I use that at my day job as well, and I really love it. Especially on Linux, it's really, really good. Um, so that's that. But the thing is,
Oh, there you
we
go.
can't really push anyone to do uh, any amount of work that that
Ha.
we might be able to do. So
Yeah.
I kind of, I don't know. Maybe next week I'm gonna rewrite libvirt into my own little wrapper around bhyve. That'll be funny.
Well, the native
It's really, really
format
funny because
supported. Go
now
ahead.
we're going like in such a weird way where I initially thought we'll use Bastille for jails, and then I kind of got rid of that. Then we wrote our own kind of jail config thing, and then now we are at this crossroads where I'm thinking like, okay, does libvirt really make sense? It's just like maybe like a week of work. Can't I just do that? Then we're cutting down dependencies.
Interesting. Well, and I think that one of the number one long-term challenges has been that people have addressed like the middle to higher level problems, but rarely the lower level problems. And that's why John put all that effort into a true low-level config file. And Daniel's working on a true, like real world compliance-driven replication tool and solving them as close to as possible to once and for all, rather than yet another little cute project on GitHub that has a cute name with a whole bunch of Y's in it. Although, granted, yours has the Y in there. But
So
anywho,
the bhyve configuration language
yes, Jan.
is about as primitive as you can make it. And that was apparently the goal. Not have a fancy library dependency, but make something self-contained so simple that you can do it in a few dozen lines, more or less. Um, it barely has variable replacement. It's a flat key value list. There's no real nesting and so on. If I remember correctly, it grew out of a config parsing code in libutil.
Repeat that part.
I think it grew out of the config parsing functions in libutil.
Libutil. What's that
Yep,
used in?
FreeBSD base.
Well,
Not much.
what
I don't
depends on
know.
it?
A bunch of tools. For example, it's a library which implements the locked PID file functions and so on. So a small subset of libutil is commonly used by lots of in-base commands.
Okay.
It's a random place for utility functions to live.
Okay, well, got it. Looking at FreeBSD source, libutil, and are we talking about this that I'll put in chat? And boom. Let's see what you got. And yes, Levi, to your point in chat about VM bhyve, yes, it's very operator oriented, and people have always liked that. It's like, oh, it thinks about switch configuration like we think about in VMware. It's very familiar in that regard, but it never quite adopted the native config format. It's had bare minimum notion of process supervision on an Jan, is this the correct one? libutil? Your dumping ground for a little syntax. Anywho. Take care, Andrew. Anything else, gang? That was a lot of progress in very short time, Hazem. I'm very impressed. I'm very pleased. I'm happy to the whole group is happy to help in any way they can.
Yeah, but again, thank you so much for the machine. I would have never,
No, absolutely. My
would
pleasure.
otherwise on it. Yep.
A Raspberry Pi 4 might pull it off. Actually, Levi, I think you just spun that up with 15, but we didn't get as far as booting a VM.
Correct. I actually kept getting syntax error.
Oh,
it was having issues opening the file, even on local SD card storage.
Okay, let's. Is that a machine you can share over SSH here and now?
Yes. Give me just a moment here.
Okay.
I can show you the exact error that I'm getting. Maybe you guys can help me figure it out real quick.
Yeah, well, so if I can, yeah, exactly. Jan's asking, does it have the GIC v2? And that's or v3 question, but yeah, let's take a peek.
All right. Let me pull it up on my desktop here.
Yeah, Gemini says that the Pi 4 uses the GIC v2.
And the problem with that interrupt controller is that it's not designed to handle virtualization. And so you can't partially reinitialize it.
Oh.
And you kind of can't just completely reinitialize it either at runtime, which is a big limitation for interrupt delivery into virtual machines. I don't know if a Raspberry Pi 5 fixed that. It may have. But then it also changed a bunch of other things by having their own little I/O controller / Southbridge custom chip. So.
Or we can poke at that after the call and the like. Anywho. Anything else, gang? Going once, going twice?
Actually, I have a small thing.
Yes, please.
So when I was just looking into like LibVirt stuff again. So when bhyve, the command starts up, right? Like starts up a VM. Does it expect the tap interfaces to exist, or does it make one?
Oh,
the question on FreeBSD
no
doesn't really make a lot of sense because tap interfaces on FreeBSD implement like a lot of other dynamic interfaces do, so-called cloning behavior. So if you open something like tap some number, the kernel will automatically create the interface and then give you the file descriptor for it. So unless you enumerate the contents of /def, it always looks like all possible tap interfaces exist because the moment you try to open it, it exists.
Oh, okay.
So it gets created when you open it. It also means that so if you specify to bhyve that you're using top 20,
Mm-hmm.
it will do basically an open on /dev/top 20. And if the open system call succeeds, then yeah, there's a tab interface for it, and it got potentially created as part of the open system call,
Okay.
which is very convenient for some things and utterly confusing if you don't know about it.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm destroying a VM, for instance, the VM would be destroyed, but the tap interfaces would still be there, right?
Yes, destroy the bhyve guest or bhyve process, and then the guest character device /dev vmm with bhyve control or directly does
Mm-hmm.
not destroy the tab interfaces. They will just go down as soon as no process has them open. You may want to use not tab, but vmnet devices. The difference is that a tab device goes administratively down if you close it, which also removes the routes from it and so on. So for a bridge, it doesn't really matter because if you put them in a bridge, you care about the link state of a bridge for routing purposes. But if you don't have a bridge and are actually directly routing on the host, it matters because if your guests get rebooted, the routes through the temporarily down tab interface will have been removed because the kernel, if it sees an indirect route with the next hop unreachable, it will remove the route if the next hop becomes unreachable so that you don't black hole more destination addresses with it.
So remind us of the high-level difference between vmnet and tap.
It's basically the same driver under two different names with one bit changed in the configuration state of the interface. And that bit can also be set via a link flag. It basically means that closing the device does not bring the network interface down.
Okay.
So the packets get still forwarded through the up vmnet interface and then discarded because no one is reading them from the buffer, which is what you want if you have a routed configuration. Yeah.
Okay, assuming everything will be on a bridge, then
this change is hidden from you and it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Then you can just use tab.
The tap you mean. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So the workflow would be when I start the VM, it makes the tap interface for me, and when I shut it down or do something with it, I have to take care of it.
It's an annoying workflow to do it like that because then you don't get a chance to add the tab interface to the bridge beforehand. If you have something like, there's nothing wrong with creating the tab interface beforehand. It's just if it doesn't exist, it gets created the moment you open it.
No, yeah, I understand why it would be a bad idea.
So for something like your use case,
yeah,
you would use your Go configuration management daemon part to create the tab interface, add it to the bridge, and then you tell bhyve to use this device after you have created it. You don't want bhyve to implicitly create the interface and then have to raise bhyve's boot process to hopefully add the tab interface to the bridge in time so that DHCP for that booting or something like that works.
Makes sense.
That would be.
Okay, so what about like VM restarts?
If you don't put an IP address on the tab interface, so you're not using it for routing but for bridging, just reuse the same device.
Just reuse the same.
You don't have to do
it doesn't
anything.
go away. Okay, makes sense. Okay, it doesn't go away since you have to
only when you actually want the guest state to be discarded, destroy the device. It's probably for safety reasons, it's better to first bring the interface down, wait for it to come down, and then destroy it. And maybe even before you destroy it, remove it from the bridge. So kind of undo the configuration step by step.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
It's
you
not a
mean for
lot of
restarts, right? So the workflow for restart would be I bring down the tap
For
interface.
restart, don't do anything but just restart, destroy the VMM device and create a new VM.
Okay, that's it. The tap interface just stays there.
That
And for
just
shutdown is
reuse
what
it
you
as
meant, right?
is, because you're going to
Mhm.
want to have it come back as if you rebooted
In the
the
same
virtual
bridge. Yeah, yeah,
machine.
yeah.
You don't
Mhm.
want to suddenly
Okay.
change the network attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So for shutting down, I just reverse the process of whatever I did for starting up.
And to come back to Michael's question in the document, so you can route to a tab interface, but it's annoying to do because whenever the bhyve process shuts down, you have to reconfigure a routing.
Right. But then the
Because if the
vmnet
tab
device
interface
interface
goes
stays.
down, the routes through it get removed.
Okay, so the vmnet interface is persistent in that regard.
Yeah, because they don't logically go down.
Okay, that
They
said,
just
can one network a virtual machine with vmnet and routing either through manual commands or a routing daemon and not a bridge? Without a bridge. Is that a thing?
yes.
And is
Yes.
there I know, we discussed this years ago. Is there a syntax example we can all refer to? And does that get around the bridge performance limitations? Or is it strictly the tap
Potentially,
vmnet
yes.
interfaces performance
So
issues we're
it
dealing
gets
with?
around. This was mostly, I think, up to FreeBSD 13.1, a
Yeah.
problem that where back then Christoph almost rewrote the bridge driver to
Yes.
make use of epoch-based blocking instead of a single read mostly lock, I think, for bridge that helped with the throughput through the bridge.
Yeah.
It does not. So these days, the bridge is not a performance bottleneck. It has some overhead, but not really a bottleneck. So it's just taking more CPU cycles as long as you have them to push data through that. Um, at least if the bottleneck is a tab interface. And vmnet is just another name for the tab driver with a different behavior
Yep.
from the moment you open it, so that you don't have a race condition for
Okay.
the configuration. So it just comes up with a certain configuration the moment you open it.
So off the top of your head, can you do the most basic syntax to use a vmnet interface with a route to make it work without a bridge?
That's,
Like sneeze it
you
out in the
just don't
chat?
have a bridge and put an IP address on the device of the
Got it.
host. There is no special syntax. It's just
Of course. Well,
don't have a bridge, put an IP address on the vmnet interface, like 10.10.10 slash whatever .1/24, and then you put the .2 on the guest, and yeah, it's really that easy. If the bridge makes it more complicated.
so let's just say 50 on the host, and then inside the
You would
VM
need
it sees
a config. So yeah, you could use a /31 for
as simple
this.
as that. I'm trying to paraphrase the example
Yes,
you
but
gave.
you also need a /31 or something like this, so that you don't just put an IP address on the interface. You put
Yep.
a prefix. No, 31.
Thank you. I'm brain fart here. Excuse me. Okay. Well,
That works, but that assumes that the whoever operates that server is familiar with routing. And the problem is a lot of people, especially in the hypervisor world, are just kept away from routing and are trained to expect bridge behavior everywhere. So basically, VLANs are as far as they are trusted by the other silos in
yep.
companies. And yeah, that creates this mess where sometimes we try to create a big layer 2 network between data centers so that one VLAN can span multiple data centers just because people have written software to assume that. Not because they actually needed to write software like it, just, yeah, we've always done it like that. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Hezem, to get to unblock you?
No.
Okay.
I think that's good.
Awesome. Well, keep up the good work. I welcome your touching jails, touching OpenZFS, touching bhyve, and exercising them all with one unified front end, which I think is just an absolute historic milestone for FreeBSD. I've said it publicly, I'll say it again. And yeah, let me know how I can help. Maybe we should ask the world for some sponsorship of these efforts. Just a thought. So yeah, listeners, please support all these things. Take a peek at bsdfund.org. Hazem, would you like the honors? Trusting you know what I'm referring to.
Yes. Please like and subscribe.
Perfect. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everyone.